Hey everybody, welcome to Bones and Brews Barbecue. Have you found yourself buying a lot of pre-made spice rubs? Or furthermore, is your spice cabinet at home just exploding with different spices and herbs that you rarely use? That's a common problem for me. Now don't get me wrong, there are a lot of great spice rubs on the market out there, from ones that have been around for years to newer ones that are hitting the market every day from competition barbecue teams who are really showcasing how they do things. You can't go wrong with those barbecue rubs. But if you have that exploding spice cabinet at home, why not try making your own? So that's what we're going to do here today. So what I've got here, we're going to lay out all the ingredients, and as I'm laying them out and I'm explaining what we're doing, I'll just let you know that this entire ingredient recipe list will be in the description of this episode. So I've got myself a bowl so I can use it to mix all these spices together. We're going to start with about 2 tablespoons of salt. Then I've got about 2 tablespoons of granulated garlic. Next, I've got about 2 tablespoons smoked paprika. Now, you might not have smoked paprika at home. You might have just regular paprika. Trust me, that will work just as well. Next, we're going to hit it with 2 tablespoons of dark chili powder. And next, I've got about 2 teaspoons of ground yellow mustard. Next up, about 2 tablespoons of ground thyme. Then we're going to hit it with about a teaspoon of ground cumin, teaspoon of ground celery seed, and a teaspoon of ground pepper. So that in itself is all you really need. I'll start mixing this together, but all you really need for a good spice rub. Now if you look at the ingredients, or if you've been researching other rubs, you might see they may have other pieces they add to it. In my home, we like our ribs to be a little more spicy on the spicy side. So I'm going to finish this off with a teaspoon of Ancho Chili. You like my fancy mixing item called a fork. Alright, we have that all mixed together. So this time, if you're making ribs at home and you just want to store something like this overnight or for a few days, I've got a nice lid for my container, that'll work. For some people, they like a little sweet with that heat. So I've also got about 3 tablespoons of brown sugar. I could easily put that in right now, blend it all together, and it's perfect if I was making this mix to put my ribs on right now or sometime tomorrow. If I'm going to let it sit a little longer, I might hold off on putting in that brown sugar just yet. But either way, it'll work just fine. You can put the brown sugar in, throw it on your ribs, or hit the ribs with this heat from just the mix, and then come back and top it off with some brown sugar. And most people, when they're making ribs, are going to come back later in that process and hit it with more brown sugar anyway. All right, everybody. So that's how you make a great rub for baby back ribs. One last item I'll mention is if you have some empty spice containers at home, or you've created one by making a mix like this, always reuse those containers. Wash it out. You could funnel in that blend you just made. Then it'd be great to sprinkle in those ribs that way instead of using your fingers. So because we've been talking about barbecue, that means we have to talk about a beer. So for today's episode, I thought I'd open up Brewligans from Second Shift Brewing here in St. Louis. So Brewligans is a New England style IPA. It's brewed in honor of the supporter group of the St. Louis FC USL soccer team, who are known as the Luligans. So let's go ahead and try this one. Definitely has a nice little hazy look to it. I can smell the hops, the fruity hops coming out of that beer as I pour it. Oh yeah, that hits the spot after making the spice mix. Alright guys, thanks again for tuning in. We'll see you again next time on Bones and Brews Barbecue.